It is Tuesday, June 24th, and if you live in California, you're going to want to watch this video. Gavin Newsom, Karen Bass, and the LA City Council now doing something remarkable. Voting on Friday, this Friday, to cover the rent. Use your tax dollars to pay the rent for all illegals in Los Angeles in order to stop them from leaving, stop them from self-deporting. You heard that right. They're calling this an eviction moratorium, but we have the details, what this is really about. Also, President Trump heading to his NATO summit, hammering home his Israel Iran ceasefire, telling Netanyahu to fall in line. We'll show you. And who exactly is Zohran Mamdani, possibly the next mayor of New York City? What this would mean for New Yorkers should this guy win, and more stories as well from around the country. But before we get started, thank you for liking and sharing these videos. It really helps out the channel. And consider subscribing if you appreciate these regular updates.
The LA City Council is looking to take action against the federal government due to the immigration raids. Last week, 7 city council members signed a proposal asking the city attorney to take immediate legal action and the tenants union are asking the LA City Council to pass an emergency protection to help families who may face eviction due to the immigration raids.
So it is day 156. President Trump has been back in office for 156 days, a little over 5 months, and already has managed to completely secure the southern border. One of his 2 main policy objectives, immigration and inflation. Those were his 2 big promises. Well, he's completely accomplished securing the border. You can't argue with that. In the month of May, there were zero new illegals released into this country. Not one person successfully crossed the southern border illegally. That is, when you think about it, just mind-boggling, especially when last year we were seeing hundreds of thousands of illegals pour across the border every month. Well, now we have zero. It's just amazing, but that's only half the problem. The other half is Trump's mass deportation agenda. He promised to carry out the largest deportation operation in American history. And so far, it's working. Nearly 1 million illegals have self-deported under Trump. They've deported themselves, chose to leave the country voluntarily after seeing how serious this administration is. That's been the goal all along. The Trump administration knows it's very hard to physically deport 10 million people. It's also expensive. It's much cheaper and easier to just convince them to leave on their own. And it's working so well, in fact, that the state of California, Gavin Newsom and his uber progressive government are in full panic mode this morning after learning tens of thousands of illegals have already voluntarily left the sanctuary of California, fleeing out of the United States back to their home countries. LA's City Council, which takes its cues from Gavin Newsom, now doing the unthinkable, planning to hold a vote on Friday for what they're calling an eviction moratorium, where LA residents, really California residents overall, will pay the rent, cover the rent of all illegals in LA. Yes, you heard that right. California is now trying to pay the rent for illegals for as long as ICE remains in the city, they say. The reason? The rationale? If you're here illegally, living in LA, we want you to shelter in place, they're saying. Don't leave your homes or apartments and risk being grabbed by ICE. You can't make this up. Watch.
Tenants union, along with some other major labor unions, are joining forces today demanding action to protect Angelenos against immigration raids. The local SEIU 721 labor union, along with CLU and the tenants union, are asking the LA City Council to pass an emergency protection to help families who may face eviction due to the immigration raids. The unions say many families may not be able to cover rent due to a family member who may have been taken by ICE, or who have family who may not be able to leave their homes due to fear of kidnapping. The groups claim Latinos make up majority of renters in the city of LA. They also say local residents have had enough to deal with, from COVID to the economic crisis and our deadly firestorm. Now the raids are creating unnecessary fear.
Nowadays, I mean, you don't know who's a cop, who's an ICE agent, now who's a bounty hunter, and now I can be dressed as a cop and just go kidnap people.
No matter what your legal status it is right now, we are all in fear. I had mentioned earlier, I mean, I'm a naturalized citizen, but my daughter is a born USA citizen and she's scared.
While groups are making these demands, the LA City Council is looking to take action against the federal government due to the immigration raids. Last week, 7 city council members signed a proposal asking the city attorney to take immediate legal action to protect people from being racially profiled or unlawfully detained. Now, the proposed lawsuit still has to head to 3 council committees for consideration. The full council is expected to vote by the end of the week.
Isn't this what that judge was just arrested for? Helping to harbor and aid migrants with active deportation orders? It's crazy. Now, why would they do this? Because they know if they lose this massive population, it's estimated between 10 to 15% of LA's population is illegal. Why do you think they're trying so hard to keep them here, even covering their rent now, paying the rent of illegals? It makes you wonder what would happen if Trump's able to deport them all. How much of an impact would that have on the Democrats' control in California? LA is a Democrat power center. It makes you wonder what would happen if they were to lose that. That's why they're fighting so hard to stop it. In another story, President Trump announcing yesterday a ceasefire between Israel and Iran after the U.S. successfully destroyed Iran's nuclear infrastructure. The U.S. military bombing 3 sites in Iran, Fordow, Natanz, and Isfahan overnight, both countries appearing to violate the original ceasefire. Trump acting as the intermediary this morning, calling out both of them, calling out both Iran and Israel, but really hammering Israel this morning. Watch what he said.
Do you believe that Iran is still committed to peace?
Yeah, I do. They violated it, but Israel violated it too.
Are you questioning if Israel is committed?
Israel, as soon as we made the deal, they came out and they dropped a load of bombs, the likes of which I've never seen before. The biggest load that we've seen. I'm not happy with Israel. You know, when I say, okay, now you have 12 hours, you don't go out in the first hour and just drop everything you have on them. So I'm not happy with them. I'm not happy with Iran either. But I'm really unhappy if Israel's going out this morning because the one rocket that didn't land, that was shot, perhaps by mistake, that didn't land. I'm not happy about that. You know what? We basically have 2 countries that have been fighting so long and so hard that they don't know what the fuck they're doing. Do you understand that?
President Trump calling Prime Minister Netanyahu after that press gaggle that we just watched, telling him fall in line, which he's appearing to do because it looks like the ceasefire is now holding. Trump reporting on Truth Social, both Israel and Iran wanted to stop the war equally. It was my great honor to destroy all nuclear facilities and capability and then stop the war. Now he's saying that because he wants it to sound equal. He doesn't want it to look like one party is winning over the other, even though we know Israel would love to keep going. What we're witnessing isn't the art of the deal here, folks. This is the art of war by Sun Tzu being played out in front of the world. This was a foreign policy masterclass. One of Sun Tzu's most famous lines from The Art of War is, quote, "The supreme art of war is to subdue the enemy without fighting." If this war is in fact over and this ceasefire holds, there is no other way to spin this but a major accomplishment for the Trump administration. If you're an honest broker, you're still going to hear all the partisans and panicans flapping their gums, but this will go down in history as a major victory. China, who's been silent for the last 12 days, finally weighing in. Foreign Minister Wang Yi saying China supports Iran in safeguarding its national sovereignty and security, and on that basis achieving a genuine ceasefire so that people can return to normal life. And we're now learning that Iranian airspace has been partially reopened. Flight Radar 24 reporting Iranian airspace is now open to international arrivals and departures to and from Tehran, which means it's highly likely this is a real, genuine ceasefire. Meanwhile, very influential voices inside MAGA who have been panicking and turning on the president over the past week. We could show you a list of people who were claiming all types of things, that Trump broke his promises, was being used by Israel, was starting World War III, and so many other ridiculous claims. There are people, even very known people, who were claiming that Netanyahu was pulling out the Epstein file on Trump. These people now being called out, and they should be, as panicants. Brand new polling out this morning showing the vast majority of Republicans backing Trump on this, not the influencers, backing Trump. Roll the tape.
Yeah, I think there's this idea, okay, maybe the MAGA base wouldn't necessarily like this. Look, this is Donald Trump's Republican Party. That's what I think is so important to note. GOP on the U.S. airstrikes in Iran, 76% in the average of the two polls approve, compared to just 18% who disapprove. Now, I will note that is a bit higher than Donald Trump's disapproval rating within the Republican Party. But overall, Republicans are with Donald Trump on this. Tucker Carlson be darned. The bottom line is he does not speak for the majority of the Republican base. The majority of the Republican base is with Donald Trump.
I know what you think about this. It seems to me that a lot of these podcasters are trying way too hard to just parrot Tucker Carlson instead of saying what they really think. You could tell, at least I think you could tell, when someone's being honest or not. And unfortunately, it's popular today to just hate on Israel. But things aren't always black and white. There's nuance involved. In another story, the New York City mayoral primary election is today. Right now, New Yorkers are casting their votes in the primary, voting for either Andrew Cuomo or a guy named Zohran Mamdani, who in recent days has pulled ahead in the polls. So, who is this guy? Who is Zohran Mamdani? Very likely New York City's next mayor. Well, as it turns out, that's not such an easy question to answer. Watch.
Because I think that New Yorkers, more than they hate a politician they disagree with, they hate a politician they can't trust.
On the subject of trust, you've adopted different speaking accents in different scenarios.
But they go to their local bodega.
Is there one that's real and one that's affected?
What I would say is, as any immigrant knows, having been born in Kampala, Uganda, and then raised in South Africa and moving here when I'm 7 years old, is there are different parts of my life.
Worldwide tour is a worldwide tour is a worldwide tour.
Mamdani was talking about a worldwide press tour back when he was a rapper.
Bring the flavor to the fish, bring the flavor to the rice.
In a Disney movie directed by his mother.
Nepotism and hard work goes a long way. Here in New York City, this is how I speak.
What we do know about Zohran Mamdani is he's a current assemblyman representing New York's 36th district, which is Queens. He's running as a democratic socialist. He was born in 1991 in Uganda to Indian parents. He moved to America when he was 7, became a rapper, and then became awestruck, it seems, with Bernie Sanders back in 2016. Since then, he's been on this mission to deliver real socialism to this country. He's a member of the Democratic Socialists of America. His campaign, his current campaign for mayor, based on raw socialist policies, including expanding welfare, government intervention even in the private sector, the government interfering in how you run your business, who you can hire, who you can fire. Now you may say, what's it matter? The guy's only running for mayor. Well, being mayor of New York City isn't the same thing as being mayor of Wayne, New Jersey. New York City is a symbol of America. It's the heart of our capitalistic system. Wall Street, having a socialist in control is insane. Even Ron DeSantis, Florida's governor, now weighing in.
If this socialist mayor candidate wins in New York City, you're going to see real estate values skyrocket even more in Palm Beach because people are going to get out of that city. As bad as de Blasio was, this guy is like going to be way, way worse. He doesn't think that you should have law enforcement in dangerous parts of the city, that you should send in social workers. See how that works out for you. It ain't going to work out well. So, they've made a lot of really dumb decisions, and we've benefited from it.
Let me know if you live in New York City. Do you support this guy? Why do you support him if you do? Obviously, it's either him or Andrew Cuomo, both bad choices, but I'm curious what you're thinking, what your thought process is here. If he does in fact win, that means we're going to have a socialist mayor and a socialist congresswoman, AOC, representing one of the most important states in the country. A sad day for America, in my opinion. All right, that wraps up this episode. Like, subscribe. We'll see you next time.